had a long chat with Linda and asked her what she thought. And she initially thought it could very likely be Mark. You may ask, well, gosh, he's been in a slammer since 86 or 7. But there was, Steve, right, the possibility that it was put there. Go ahead.
What I have here is a photocopy. 1988-89, Mark Hoffman attempted suicide. There's 2 attempted suicide attempts. This is the second one, which they took him out of the hospital. At that time, he was in the hospital in Salt Lake. They did a shakedown in his cell. That's basically where they searched for things. They came across a 1-page piece of paper on stationery from the prison in which Mark had listed Mormons and Mormons-related autographs I have forged, and on the other side was non-Mormon forgeries. And down here at the bottom, he has listed John D. Lee. I start asking anybody who have dealt with forgeries, says we have nothing that we are aware of that's a John D. Lee. This is 89. So when this comes up, the right reaction is, when you find something like this, where was Mark and has he ever been down there? Now the problem you have is down there at the fort, down there in Page. One of the investigators, Kenny Farnsworth, says in their investigations, the background is whereabouts. They have no information that he was ever down in that area. I even asked Mark's ex-wife, Dora Lee, the same thing. She said, no, he's never been down there. So if he had anything to do with it, he did not, most likely did not put it down there.
Anyway, yeah, thanks, Steve. The point I was going to make was that Linda said, well, if they ask him, he'll say, I don't have any comment about that. And I said, well, that's too bad, which is what he said. And then she said, it wouldn't matter if he said yes or no, he still wouldn't know. So that's the fix we're in with Hoffman. I don't think, somebody said, oh, it was probably done by Will Bagley. I know Will pretty well. We disagree about a lot of things. In fact, we're not really very close anymore because he got angry because I was telling the story about I can pin it on Brigham Young, I guess. But I don't think, I really don't think so.
Well, if you want to go short, I'll keep my answer very short.
All right, I'm just wondering how well Will Bagley's book has been received in the historical community.
Depends on who the historical person is. Dave Bigler, who's a former Mormon, born-again Christian, thinks the best thing that's ever been done there will be done. Dean May, who died a few months ago, who was the Dean of Utah History in the state, I believe, at this time, along with Tom Alexander, the two of them probably share that title, have little regard for it. Tom's comment to me was, this is history by rumor. And so it depends who you talk to.
You said that it was fear basically that caused the September 11th executions. They were afraid the wagon train was going to get back to California, say it was the Mormons. But what caused the initial attack that started off the whole thing?
Good question. As I was answering the other question, I realized I was skipping past that. There was a meeting held on Sunday. The High Council met, and the initial decision was not to attack them. There had been a lot of trouble with these folks coming down the road, and the same motivation, it seems to me, was involved. If they get to California and tell the Californians how weak we are and how poorly defended we are, we're in big trouble. I think that also provoked the initial attack. There was a sense of anger at these folks for what they had done, but there was also this sense of, gosh, if they get out of here and tell the folks in California, yeah, we went through there and we can do whatever we want, they're weak, they're poorly armed, they're poor, they're living in 10 by 10 dugouts, no problem. See, Brigham Young's gamble was, and you know this, in the Utah War, he could bluff his way through to a good conclusion. Will doesn't buy that. He thinks Brigham Young thought that Christ was going to come and save us from the mob. And that's part of his thesis. But most historians think he was trying to bluff his way by convincing people that the Indians were with us, that we were well armed, that anybody who comes in here, we're going to use them up. And the Fancher party knew that was all a lie. And if they got to California, same thing. One more question.
You mentioned about a book that is completed and will be coming out very soon on this, and by Rick Turley. I mean, he's part.
The three scholars speak.
It's going to be a while.
Is it?
From what I understand, the final manuscript will be in spring. So
Okay.
it will be sometime after that.
We're hearing, for those of you who can't hear, that the final manuscript appears to be still being done. I met with those guys and did a commentary at Kirtland in May at the Mormon History Association. They were predicting that by the end of the summer it'd be done, and I assumed it was done. I think they were finding more material and want to make sure they're very complete in what they're doing.
I haven't finished my question.
I got someone standing ready to put the shepherd's hook on my head.
Because, I had briefly spoken with Rick Turley and in some information, wanted to make sure that it was being utilized in the information. And can you tell us who had, what had inspired the writing of this book?
It's defensive. The church came to the conclusion with Bagley's book that there had to be another version of the story that the church brought forth. My advice to them was to bring in a non-Mormon scholar, for example, Judge Logan, a very highly respected historian in Arkansas. They chose not to do that. I think that was a bit of a mistake. But to make up for that, they have announced rather loudly that here's our book. Once you've read it, everything we looked at is available. It'll be really hard for those guys to tell any lies, even if they were inclined to do so.
I think there will be a lot of good information, and like for us that are here now, to not really form any conclusions until if we have a sincere interest in wanting to know what really is happening, to get a hold of that book and read it.
I'm telling everyone, friend or foe alike, hold your judgment until you read their book, and it's going to tell, I think, a very close story to the truth.
Who are the three authors again?
Leonard, Turley, and Walker.
Thank you very much.